and welcome back to another episode of The Brand Builder. And today's episode, we're going personal because we're talking about work-life balance.
Okay, so hi, I'm Kyra.
And I'm Steph. And again, today we're talking about work-life balance. Kyra, work-life balance, is that something na personally,
Work-life balance.
diba? So hard to achieve. Ikaw ba?
But
Na-achieve
very,
mo ba to?
very important. I would
Oo,
say,
definitely.
siguro hindi pa no, on my
Mm-mm.
end, more towards the work spectrum talaga on my
I
end.
see.
Pero how about you, Steph?
I-
Kamusta work-life balance?
I would say it's pretty balanced. Kasi it's something
Mhm.
that my dad told me
Mhm.
a long time ago, no. It's really important to have work-life balance for you to keep going. And something na actually
Totoo. Totoo.
napansin ko with older generation, they prioritize work-life balance more than the CEOs of
millennials.
our
Correct,
generation,
correct.
diba? So maybe there's something there, but today we're gonna
Something to
talk,
learn from them, no?
talk more about it today. Sige, go Kyra.
But also one thing to note, I mean, with work-life balance, rest is always productive.
Definitely.
So, if you're listening, don't forget to rest. Don't forget to live your life outside of work.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Maybe you hop in like sa bed or like sa bathtub or
Mhm.
whatever. Just play this podcast and hear us talk about how it's like to have a work-life balance.
Yeah, so actually, our speaker today is, the very definition of work-life
Wow!
balance.
Sana all.
Yeah, so he's very sociable.
Mhm.
He's always out and about,
Mm-mm.
trying out new places, meeting a lot of different people.
Mhm.
But at the same time, when it comes to his career or his business, very successful guy. So would love to welcome Mr. Canaan to everyone. He's the VP, of Phil Asia Group Holdings Inc.
Wow!
Hi, Canaan.
Welcome
Nice
to the
to
brand
meet
builder,
you.
Canaan.
Hello,
Grabe,
hi.
such a formal, formal position.
Vice
Vice
President of
Wow.
Phil Asia Group.
Yeah,
Wow.
actually, I also go by another position,
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is
COO.
COO, which means
Child of owner.
I think a lot of people can can relate
Can
to
relate.
that position talaga. But Kinan, if you don't mind me asking,
Yes.
how old are you? Kasi I'm sure our
Hmm.
viewers can see Kinan, you look very young.
Oh, thank you. Maybe it's just because baby face, pero
Take
Pwede.
it as a compliment.
Pwede, oo.
I actually turned 26 last Monday.
Oh!
Belated happy
birthday!
birthday.
Okay. So go ahead.
Maybe you can share to us what it's like being a vice president at the age of 26.
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, I owe all of this to my dad. All my wisdom and knowledge, all to my
Mhm.
dad. Like he's the goat, short of saying.
Mm-mm.
And he taught me that you really just have to do three things.
Three
Yeah.
things. Okay.
Keep developing yourself,
Okay.
asikaso, and
Asik.
have fun. And if we break down those three things, then we'll get to the nitty gritty of like different values and principles and even
Mhm.
ethics in business and socializing.
What do you mean by asikaso, no? Particularly
So-
that, yeah.
My dad actually learned that from my mom's dad, my
Okay.
guaco, my grandfather.
Yes, your guaco,
on the
correct.
mother's side. And he taught my dad in his Chinese accent pa. Cedric, asikaso ah. You really have to
I
sweat
love
the
the
little stuff.
accent. Okay.
So, contrary to the popular belief na don't sweat the little stuff, that depends. Like,
Interesting.
you have the saying in the
That's true.
family
It's the
where
first time I heard.
we say we take our business seriously, but we take ourselves lightly.
Mm-hmm.
So, when it comes to a business and it's go time, talagang details, himayin mo, like go through every detail possible. Make sure not to leave any stone unturned because under you, if you're setting the standard high, under you, those people working for you look up to you for leadership. You go first, you strut the course, you pave the road, everything. So if your standards are high, if your standards are low, then their standards are
You're
even
setting
lower.
the bar low as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what he means by asikaso.
That's what he means by asikaso. Okay. Interesting point of view, no?
Yeah, and the third one is have fun.
Have
Tama.
fun, yes.
Which is important, no?
Yeah.
I imagine out of all the life lessons na you're dad is going to teach you ba.
Yeah.
The third is having fun, which is
Mhm.
important because we don't usually hear that anymore, I think,
A
from a
lot,
lot
no,
of.
not a lot
Mm-mm.
nowadays. Yeah. But yes, so maybe you can share no other lessons that you've learned throughout.
Mm-hmm.
If we go back to the first thing I mentioned, which was keep developing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-mm.
think that's what I've been doing now. That's why even if you mentioned that I look young and yet I'm the
Yeah.
vice president of
Mm-mm.
our holding company, it's because of years and years of developing myself in terms of um, reading materials,
Mm-mm.
YouTube research,
Mm-mm.
Spotify podcasts, all of this, like
Mm-mm.
different
What is it that
sources
you
of information.
usually read up on, research?
Yeah.
I personally like looking at um, the source of where the next flow of trends would come from. Let me point it out.
Mm.
An example would
The
be
source of where the
electric
next
cars.
flow. Okay.
Now, one of our companies, one of our holding company subsidiaries is a mining company.
Mhm.
And we
Mm-hmm.
are mining focused on iron and nickel,
Mm-hmm.
which power our batteries.
Okay.
Batteries for phones, for laptops, for cars. And one of the next trends that will come in the next 10 years are EVs, electric
Yes,
vehicles.
correct.
Yeah.
You have your Tesla, Hummer EV, Ford,
Mm-mm.
Porsche Taycans, all these stuff. And in the factory where they're making these, they need these raw materials. These raw mats are the nickel and iron that come from our earth. So there you go.
Yeah, it's really self-help, no?
Yeah.
Self-help books
Yeah.
also. And I can see na you really do invest in yourself, especially the
Mm-mm,
education, diba? The
mm-mm.
knowledge that you give.
And looking towards the future, no, and being able to kind of
Predict.
yes, predict.
You have to have like
Oh,
the
that's true.
foresight to
Yes,
where things are gonna
forward
come from.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-mm.
It's very, very good. So maybe you can share a little bit more about Phil Asia Group
Hmm.
Holding. What is it? Maybe, I'm sure our
Mm-mm.
listeners are very curious as to what you guys do.
Yeah, and what you personally do for
Yes.
Phil Asia.
So maybe a good way to explain it is with the analogy of one of my business idols in the local industry, MVP, Manny V. Pangilinan. And under
Mm.
him, he has different companies like Metro Pacific Tollways, PLDT,
Mm-hmm.
Smart Telecom, and a lot of other companies, which each and every one of them, of those companies, would have their CEOs that and presidents that all answer to him as the chairman of
Mm-mm.
the Salim group of companies.
Mm-mm.
MVP would be my dad,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm his errand boy.
Okay.
I talk to all
COO.
our
COO.
presidents, yeah. So
Ah.
for all our construction, mining,
Mhm.
reclamation, power, property development, all our
That's
companies
a
have.
lot of businesses under your holding
Yeah, and a lot of
company.
responsibility, ha? I mean, for
Mm-mm.
26 years old, I'd be in a lot of pressure. I swear.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I'm sure you're also like under a lot of pressure right
That's true.
now.
And I actually uh not just in not just under a lot of pressure, but
Mm-mm.
I've made my fair share of mistakes. Embarrassingly simple, yet I missed it type of
Mm-mm.
mistakes. But I still show up every day because that's how you learn.
Yeah, that's
You're
true.
not
It's through your
starting from
mistakes.
scratch when you fail. You're starting from experience.
That's
You
true.
always learn, yeah. I don't think it's an embarrassing thing, no, making a mistake.
Maybe it
I mean,
goes
everybody does.
maybe it goes against our pride as people. We are emotional beings.
Mm-hmm.
So every
Mm-mm.
time we make a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
napapahiya tayo. And that's where
Mm-hmm.
it comes from na
Mm-mm.
parang, aray, ayoko muna.
Mm-mm.
Aray.
Yeah, oo. But
Yeah.
sometimes those negative feelings are what drives us forward talaga eh, diba?
Yeah.
Especially you, like, imagine making these mistakes young, na parang, that's gonna give you an edge. Kasi, like, when you're a little bit older, you'd say, I've experienced these types of problems already. Like,
Yeah.
I
I
know
know
what
how
to
to
do.
handle.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
One of the things actually that my mom raised me up to be
Mm-mm.
was to be a people pleaser to the point
Mm,
that I'd actually pay attention to detail, people's body language, stuff like that.
I see.
My dad, even if he is the goat, he still has his weaknesses, and his kryptonite being that he's borderline insensitive. So I have to be
Okay.
the one to remind them that we have to talk to this person this way. So that's where I
Okay.
Mm-mm.
fill in the gaps.
That's so
Mm. You
nice.
have your own strengths also, which is good. Which is good.
Yeah, they complement each other,
Mm-mm.
no? And which is a nice father and son relationship,
Correct.
diba?
Yeah.
Na
Yeah,
talaga you
yeah.
help each other grow, and at the same time when someone's making a mistake, the other one's there to back
Mm-mm.
him up and stuff like that.
Siguro in line with that, how is it like no, working in a family business, working with your dad, no?
Yeah, oo.
I'm sure that's a different experience altogether that maybe a few people no here listening might be able to relate with.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, maybe you can share the struggles first and foremost, the positive side also of it.
Yeah.
Should I start with the positive side
It's
of
up
it?
to you. It's up to you.
I think I'll start with the negative side because
Okay,
I have a
sure.
Okay.
story that's pretty fresh. Actually, last Friday, while everybody was out partying at Wildflower, I was in Cebu for just one day. There's a steel and cement factory that's being put up somewhere in the province of Cebu, like 3 hours away from the city.
Mm-mm.
But they don't have access to the grid, to NGCP. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't have power to run their plants.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's where we come in. We're gonna provide them the power. We were there to case out the location to see where we'd put up our power plants for them. And Dad and I, together on that trip, we happened to be roommates.
Okay.
And he got so mad because I went out. My friends from Cebu have been dying to see me. So when they
Mm-mm.
found out I was there only for one night, they took me to like 4 or 5 different bars at the same time.
Mm-mm.
At the same in the same night.
Mm-mm.
I told my dad I was gonna come home 12:30. I got home like 3:30. He
Ito
was
na nga,
so mad.
work-life
There you
balance.
go.
Work-life
I want to hear the
balance.
next part of this story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I brought this up first because that's one of the cons of working, in the family business. You still get scolded, and there are instances where your family members that you work with bring home the problems from business.
Yeah. Oo.
Yeah.
Like, where does the line stop from your dad being your dad and your dad being the president,
Yeah,
diba? Of the
exactly.
of
Oo.
of PhilAsia.
Although that Saturday morning when I got back to the hotel room, it felt like he was mad at me for us both.
As
So
both
as both
Being
dad
as a
scolded
and
by
dad,
the
yeah.
chairman. Yeah.
president.
But you
Grabe.
you know you can always argue that at least you didn't go to Wildflower. You went all the way to Cebu to do
Oo nga
business.
naman.
And
That's true.
once in a lifetime lang or once every now and then you get to go to Cebu. So
Actually, after this episode, I'm gonna text him that, hey dad, actually, I didn't go naman to.
well, I didn't go naman to Wildflower. Maybe you should cut me some slack.
The
So we're
influence pa ni Kyra eh, no?
Thank
Biglang
you.
nag-text
Thank
pa
you.
si
Thank you.
dad.
got you, got you. Okay, sige. Going back, no? So what's the
Positive
good side
naman.
naman of working
Mm-mm.
The
with
good thing about
family?
working with dad is the exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, as
Mm.
young as I am now, I'm exposed to the different movers and shakers of the country,
Mhm.
and we're in major industries.
Mhm.
For the next 5 to 15 years, we're gonna be developing new land. By we, I mean the Republic of the Philippines,
Mm-mm.
new land westward. So that's Manila Bay.
Yeah.
Mm.
If
City of Pearl, right? Correct?
the
Cit-
Orient, yeah.
something like that. City of Pearl or something. Yeah.
Well, Manila Bay is composed of Batangas, Zambales, Noval, sorry, Valenzuela, Manila, Pasay, Parañaque, Las Piñas,
That
all
area.
Cavite.
Yeah.
So that entire mouth of
Mm-mm.
Manila Bay, we're all gonna be extending there. For example, SM Mall of Asia,
Mm-mm.
from Ross Boulevard up until the Ferris wheel. If you go straight after the globe, like at the back,
Mm-mm.
left to right, that's about 120 hectares that Wenceslao constructed. That's all reclaimed land. That's all artificial land.
Correct.
That used to be
Yeah.
just water before, right?
Water.
Mm-mm.
SM is planning to make another 360 hectares after that, connected by a 200-meter bridge.
Yeah.
After which, another 300 hectares. After that, another 300
Expanding
hectares.
and
And then
expanding.
the water just gets really deep where it's not viable to make more land anymore. So that's just one of the maybe almost a dozen projects that's going to be put up there. We have some reclamation projects by J Bros, Horizon Manila, or the Gatchalian families making waterfront. This is Manila side. We
Mhm.
have the Paranaque side. We have some in Cavite. But I don't think the Villars are open to any reclamation projects in Las Piñas.
Mhm.
And San Miguel, they want to build their Aerotropolis city in Bulacan, the Bulacan airport
Mhm.
over fish ponds. And these reclamations, because we predicted them to be in need of rocks, boulders, and sands, other
You've
forms of
put
aggregate
yourself in that position, would you
already. That
say?
was Dad's foresight when we were still in like, high school.
Mm-mm.
So there you go.
So with all these projects, no, these important like big projects that you're talking about, how do you make sure that you remind yourself, wait lang, 26 pa rin ako. 'Di ba? Na parang I still need to give time to my
Yeah.
friends, 'di
Yeah.
ba? And
Yeah.
even if it's a family
Social
business,
life.
iba pa
Yeah.
rin yung quality
Oo.
family time than family time na we're talking about business, 'di ba?
Yeah.
So
Oo.
how are you able to remind yourself
Then
that?
that's where I would say exposure comes in and I get to practice it.
Mm-mm.
So I would say exposure is learning from these people that I talk to or that we
The ones
transact
that you just
with.
mentioned,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I get
Mm-mm.
to talk to my friends about them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just go out and drink like there's no tomorrow. Hey, shot pa!
Mm-mm.
I'm way past that. So I just go out now to socialize, maintain my network because I want to remind myself that there's still a life outside work. Now,
Mm-mm.
work can be really demanding. After everything I just enumerated, I'm sure you can picture in your head how demanding it could be.
Yeah.
But I still have to take care of myself, my mental well-being, my social skills. I have to harness it all. I have
Mhm.
my weaknesses, I have my strengths, and one of my strengths would be um, PR skills. I guess I'm
Mhm.
really good at reading people's body language. So from that, my dad likes to say, "It's not about who you know; it's about what you know and what you do about it."
Mhm.
Interesting.
Nice.
Speaking of body languages, maybe you can share now to our listeners a few key things now that you've picked up.
Yeah, or
Mm.
Let's
tips,
say,
no.
if somebody is doing this, it means that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Hmm. What would be a good example?
After this, we can all, read body
that's
language na
true.
thanks to Kanan.
I learned this from my dad.
Mhm.
The bread and butter of our holding company was Phil Asia Contractors Inc., which was formerly known as Izumo Contractors Inc. It
Okay.
was first established in 1998. And after 3 years, he was already a triple A contractor.
Mm-mm.
That's a big deal because that's almost record time. Normally, to get from where you started, infancy stage of a contracting
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
business,
Mhm.
to triple A license, it would take about 7, maybe 10 years. And he got it in 3. And he's learned because he's come a long way from his form of exposure.
Mm.
Now, my exposure was saved one generation ahead thanks to him. And he would read people's body language, just not as good as I am. He had to learn that the hard way, firsthand. He would drive 17 hours going to some wild, really far place
Uh-huh.
in like Visayas,
Mm-mm.
rides a Roropa just to go there because someone was inviting him to join a bidding for a construction project
Okay.
and just gives him a piece of paper with all these requirements. Now, normally you'd get a proposal as thick as a book.
Mhm.
So he just wasted his effort and his travel time and he has to get back home pa
Oo.
to back home to
Grabe, the
Manila.
And that was like
dedication.
17 hours,
Yeah,
tama ba?
drive going pa lang
Grabe.
coming home is another
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 17.
17 hours.
Kasama na yung Roro doon, but still. So what he did na lang was he enjoyed like sightseeing. That's where he told me also, if you're gonna take this too seriously and super giggle mo sa ginagawa mo, baka maubusan ka ng gas. Baka
Mm-mm.
maubusan ka ng energy.
Mm-mm.
One of the things I picked up from him was take the scenic route. On his way back from trips like that, he just, stop and smell the flowers.
Yeah.
Enjoy some coffee shops, talk to some natives, like that.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I
Yeah.
think what I learned from that story, no, is that when you know how to read people or you really know how to understand people, you prevent yourself from doing unnecessary like efforts, diba?
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Unnecessary actions. But in the case na okay, let's say you weren't able to read someone talaga thoroughly and you didn't have, nice judgments about that person and it turned out like a bad
Mm-mm.
experience. You can always take the scenic route
Yeah,
home,
you can always make
diba?
the most out of it
Just there,
still,
there you go,
no?
making the
Oo.
most out of it. See,
Mhm.
the way he read that wasn't just the person he was talking to; it was also the situation. He could
Yeah.
already tell
Yeah.
that I don't think this person actually knows what he's talking about based on
Yeah.
the details.
Mm-mm.
So
Yeah.
that's what I meant by reading the person's body language, reading the
Mm-mm.
situation's body
Mm-mm.
language, even.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that also comes with a lot of business experience, no, and business
Mm-mm.
sense to be able to have that sense of reading someone properly and all. And
Mm-mm.
kind of, like to your point nga earlier, seeing the future, predicting the future also.
Yeah. Kanan,
Foresight,
I
yeah.
hope you don't mind me getting a little bit too personal here, ha? But I just wanted to ask, like, didn't you ever had that feeling that you wasted your childhood because you matured into this position so fast?
That's a good question,
You
Steph.
ca I
I,
mean,
I actually
just from
wanna hear the answer
diba?
to
Yeah,
that.
you
Because at
actually,
26, diba,
yeah.
VP, and you're handling all these projects.
It's a
Yeah.
good question. And my close friends would be
Mm-hmm.
able to answer that question with Asi Keenan.
Mm-mm.
He's really serious during the
Asking.
day. That's why when he's out with us at night, he's just like a kid again. That's when I crack my Kenkoy jokes.
Mm.
That's when I talk about my hobbies. I'm still a kid at heart. Video games, football, basketball.
Oo, talaga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So even talaga if you mature to
Even there.
these positions, no, very
Balance.
fast. Oo, very
Work-life
balanced.
balance talaga.
Oo,
Okay.
yeah.
So your social life is your outlet, tama ba?
That's my outlet.
To express that, what's this? Childhood.
Yes. I'd say
Not childhood, like the
Yeah.
pent up
child in,
energy.
yes.
Like during the day, I have to be like really
Yes, yes,
fine,
Yes.
prim
yes.
and proper.
So
You know?
firm,
Yeah.
So
diba?
demure. And then at night, I
Okay.
can freely.
Yeah. And that's
Okay.
how you enjoy yourself, diba? Na parang you don't feel the need to escape the life that you have right now.
Yes.
It's just more of to enjoy the other parts of
Yes.
it.
Mm-mm.
I like that word. Escape. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to get away from anything.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have a hard time grasping is retirement. You know how some or
Mm.
most people, especially in our pop culture, they would imagine retirement as like sipping a coconut by the beach, right?
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
plan to retire.
Mm-mm.
Like
Ever.
ever. I'm gonna
Okay.
keep working because I enjoy it. It's not work in a way that it's eating up my soul. It
Gets.
might get tiring.
Gets.
It might get exhausted. I
Yeah.
Yeah,
stayed
you know
in
that. What's
a trip.
this? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I stayed in Cebu for just 1 day.
Mm-mm.
Other business trips would take 3 days just so they could take the scenic route that way.
Mm-mm.
Kami madalian. So even the party madalian, isang gabi lang.
Isang
Let's
gabi
5
go.
lang.
hours agad eh.
3 a.m. na. Sulitin na. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to Steph's point, no, your 20s are really your prime years,
Yes.
diba? Did
Oo.
you ever feel na, yun nga, your youth is slipping away from you because,
Oo.
for most part of the day, you have to act prim and proper,
Yeah.
mature,
Yeah,
talking to
oo.
all these
Professional, right?
very
Yeah.
Yeah.
professional,
Like
yeah.
imagine your friends on a weekend na parang nagpa-party sila and then you're at home like thinking about business
That's
proposals.
the thing. Being like a contractor also.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes weekdays we have events and my friends that work corporate they have to go home, they're really tired from work, or they have
Mm-mm.
to get up early the next day for a meeting.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
And sometimes naman weekends they get the party and I'm at home or I'm out of
Yeah.
town
Mm.
for work. And I guess that's where balance comes in, because while they're at home I can be out partying,
Mm.
while they're
Yeah.
at home I
Gets.
can be out having dinner,
Mm-mm.
enjoying, having my time.
Yeah,
Gets.
there's no
Gets.
formula rin naman eh, 'di ba?
There's no
No,
formula.
nobody used to say that, let's say, weekdays are like this, weekends have to be this other
Yeah,
way.
yeah. True.
As
That's
long as you get
true.
to enjoy,
As long as you
Ren.
get to enjoy.
And balance.
Yeah, I have one last question for you, no, Keenan.
Okay.
And I think all the viewers naman are also wondering,
Hit me.
is it possible to have a love life and be a vice president at 26 years old? Kasi di ba, you're handling already like work and then you're handling life. But is there enough
Interesting
space for love?
question.
I'm a realist, so I would consult the numbers.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Numbers wise, I would say it's not a good idea for most people in
Mm.
our age bracket right now.
Mhm.
It's even if we're tempted to multitask, it's better to focus. But
Wow. Okay,
it's
Oh,
wait.
all in the
that's so hard.
execution.
That's so heartbreaking naman for a lot of our
Oo nga
audience.
Again,
eh.
again,
What do you
again.
mean by numbers?
It's
Explain mo
all in the
muna konti.
execution. So
Mm-mm.
what I mean by numbers is most people our age, whether they're in a relationship or not, they would learn that it's easier to focus on work now, on themselves now, on developing themselves now. On
Mm-mm.
the weekends when you're not doing anything, you don't have to be on a date. You could be
Okay.
reading a book, watching a documentary, learning something new, picking up a new hobby, learning what martial arts,
Mm-hmm.
flag
Mm-mm.
football,
Mm-mm.
traveling.
Yeah.
You get to focus on you. You're developing you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you did choose to
Okay.
have a love life, it's all in the execution. You and your partner have to have a mutual understanding of boundaries.
Yeah,
You
that's
can't be
true.
like typing, texting all
A
day.
healthy relationship,
Yeah, a
basically.
healthy relationship. Both of you have to have that understanding. And it's not about communication. That's what
Mm-hmm.
people say. It's about
It
comprehension.
is.
It's about no, I could tell you
Okay.
that I'm wearing blue, but if you're
Okay.
colorblind, you might think this was black. It's about comprehension, how you
Okay.
understand what I'm showing
Okay.
you, what I'm trying to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about me telling you.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that makes
Okay.
sense. That makes sense.
Wow,
Oh.
that's very, very interesting. So, what you're saying is focus on yourself, but if you find a partner that has the same
Yeah.
priorities,
Oo.
If you find a
understand
partner,
you.
do your homework. Your homework being
Okay.
both of you have to talk things out
Okay.
and get to
Yeah.
an understanding.
Homework muna before
Homework
getting into
muna.
the
Yeah.
relationship.
Because you can be
Mm-mm.
you can not do your homework, but that's being irresponsible. And it
Mm-mm.
might end up being a toxic relationship, which could overspill to social life,
Mm-hmm.
family,
Mm,
And
work,
you don't
get.
want that.
and you don't want
Get.
that.
So in
Mm-hmm.
a nutshell, it is possible, but you need to be ready to do the work.
You have to be ready to do the work. Do the
Okay.
work. Show up every day. Learn something
Yeah.
new about your significant other, about your work, about yourself. Just show
Mm-mm.
up every day. Do the work.
That's
Got it.
interesting.
Got
That's
it. Got it.
interesting. Mr. Work-life balance, no?
Yeah. Oo.
Telling us that it's possible to be a vice president, to go out
Yeah, to be
at
a party
to
animal
be a
pa.
party animal 3 a.m. in Cebu, to have a relationship, no?
Yeah.
And still to be able to find time, no, to develop yourself.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
something. That's something. I think that's a lot of time management also on your
Very
end.
inspiring, Kenan.
Thank you.
Oo.
Thank you.
Very, very inspiring.
Yeah. So I'm sure we have a lot of questions, from our listener. But I think what we can do right now is to just share our daily routines as an icebreaker so that
Ooh.
our audience naman can
Yes.
see what a day in your life looks like, diba, as the vice president and, Dr. Love and Party Animal
Tama,
in
tama,
one.
tama. What is a
Diba?
day in the
Yeah,
life of Canaan Lee?
that's true.
So when I first started working for the family business, uh, COVID just started. It was
Okay.
about January 2020, and COVID was mid-May, March 14.
Mm-hmm.
So um, for that first year, 2020, I was waking up past 12 because there was no office to attend to, there was no meetings, there was
Mm,
nothing was really going.
yeah.
None of our operations were like FMCG, fast moving consumer goods. We didn't
Mm-mm.
need to market,
You
advertise
didn't have to
anything.
be there at
Yeah,
certain
we
time.
don't own any restaurants that was hit by a pandemic
Mm-hmm.
that had to close down, no customers. We're fine. But nothing was moving forward either with our projects because nobody wanted to meet LGU officials that were going to permit us some documents, couldn't
Yeah.
attend to their desk job works and
Mm-mm.
sign off the permits. We were just stuck at home. It felt like a big summer break for both dad and I. He
Mm-mm.
actually was telling me about it. He was like, Keenan, I feel like I'm in high school again. Summertime. Yung talagang walang
Walang
ginagawa.
ginagawa,
But
okay.
then now, a day in a life now would be wake up at 8 to 9.
Mhm.
7 is just too early. 8 to 9,
I
Okay.
agree.
Too early, too early. Can't do 7 a.m. Okay.
uh, 2 glasses of warm water to just start the system,
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
Uh, 3 by 10 push-ups, just get the blood flow going.
Mhm.
Fix my bed, take a shower, and go to we have a home office right now. So
Oh.
it's me, my brother, and my dad. The three of
Mm-mm.
us would always just discuss. And if the discussions happens to be very short, then we just talk to each other about whatever.
Mm-mm.
That's how we try and bond and share to dad what our personal lives are like,
Yeah.
what it's like in the nightlife right now.
To keep dad
Okay.
To
updated,
keep dad
no?
updated also because he doesn't want to miss out on anything.
Para hindi na
Mm.
rin magalit.
True, yeah. Then we'd have lunch. Most of the time, Dad and I would have lunch meetings. That's when we'd meet up with our kausap, whether it's
Mm-mm.
in our office, the mall, or our kausap's office.
Mm-mm.
And then in the afternoon, if there's no errands to run naman, I take a nap.
Mm-mm.
I miss being a
A
kid.
nap is
Oh my
very,
goodness.
very, very important. And it goes
Around
a long
yeah,
way,
around 4 or
actually.
5, wake up 6.
Oh, wow, that's
Maybe
a long nap. 1 hour?
an hour and a half. Wake up 6,
Mm-mm.
saing. Ako nagsasaing sa bahay. And then
Yeah.
sometimes my brother and I take turns.
Domesticated.
Oo nga
Wow.
eh.
Grabe ang
Diba?
work-life balance nito ni Mr.
Siya pa
Kainan
nagsasaing.
Lee. Siya pa
And
nagsasaing.
then my brother and I take turns cooking. Talagang my mom raised us up to be all around. And
Mm-mm.
then at night, another dinner meeting if ever. But if wala and we're in the mood, we have lots of energy, then we hit the gym, take a shower, and head
Mm-mm.
out. Have a
Mm-mm.
couple drinks, meet up with some friends,
Mm-mm.
catch up a bit, head home, sleep, and the next day you do it again.
Yeah, it shows talaga no na you really value work-life balance. I believe no with the whole
Day in the
routine.
life of
Oo.
talaga. Grabe.
Exception would be Sunday though.
Exception would be
Yeah,
Sunday,
It's
oo.
really
yes.
just family day. We just watch podcasts of
Mhm.
our pastors,
Mm.
or pre-pandemic we used to attend church, and then in the
Mm.
afternoon we'd have a book club. Actually, me, my
Mm-mm.
brother, and my dad, we'd always read a chapter of John Maxwell every
Mm.
Sunday,
Yeah.
and that teaches us like different values, but
Oo.
specifically leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting, no?
Mm.
Actually, we have a few listener questions.
Maybe
Oh,
we can take one
Yeah,
if
sure.
ever. Yeah.
So
Mm.
there's this one question, no, from Brian. Hi, Brian. Thanks
hi
for your
Hi,
Brian.
question.
Brian.
This is super important, I think, to ask you with a busy schedule like yours now. Do you have any tips or like one specific tip that you could tell people on how to manage time better?
Mm. Most of my friends,
Mm-hmm.
especially when they're working in corporate, they set multiple alarms for different things. Even eating or taking your vitamins, like the smallest things. That could be a good pro tip. But personally, I like to write things down, not just on my phone. Either
Same.
print it out or write
Pen
it
and
on a pad.
paper.
Yeah, yeah. That's how I don't forget to do stuff. And I always manage my time where I plan ahead. Like, for example,
Yeah.
early 2000s, Metro Manila wasn't bad with traffic.
Mm-mm.
Now it's horrible. From 5 to 7 meetings a day, we went down to 2 to 3 meetings na lang a day.
Mm-mm. Because of
So
the traffic,
yeah,
no?
realistically, 2 to 3, and that's a productive day already.
Yeah.
Whether you learn something or medyo may palpak sa office or may palpak kausap mo, katransaction nyo, you still get to move the ball forward. You still get to get the party started in some way.
Mm-mm.
But I have to plan this ahead of time. I can't just wake up what I do today. I have to plan this at least a
Tama,
day
tama.
yeah,
Oo.
before. So I would say time management has to do with priorities, but I skip that part because you guys already know that.
Mm-mm.
My tip would be time management has a lot to do with
forward thinking,
Yeah.
perhaps we could
Foresight,
mention.
forward thinking,
Yeah.
yeah. Planning.
I actually like your answer there, no, in terms of writing everything down. I'm a believer in that also, no,
Mhm.
with everything that goes on in your day. I think that's the single most important tip I've heard also, no, parang to write everything down.
Yeah.
Simple, but goes a long, long way.
I
Yeah.
learned it from my social studies teacher in high school. I actually don't remember what
Wow.
she taught me already, like the actual subject. But she did
Yeah.
teach me this. She taught the
Write
class that
everything down.
when you write down notes instead of typing it
Typing them.
down, because we had laptops, our batch in
Mm-mm.
Xavier High School.
Yeah.
And after us, it was just iPads all the way until now. But when
Mm.
we were typing it down, we wouldn't retain the knowledge as much as when we would take down notes. For
Correct.
some reason, taking down notes is like engraving it in your brain. So I get to
Mm-mm.
remember these little details more.
That's true. That's true. And that's a very helpful
Yeah.
tip, no, I
Mhm.
think, for our listeners. Thank you, Kanan. That is such
Yeah.
an inspiring episode, I would say,
Actually.
for the brand builder.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, go ahead, Kara.
Actually, I want to ask no this one last question,
Yeah, go
if
ahead.
I could.
By all means.
I'm actually interested no, in hearing your
Yeah.
answer here. How do you have fun when there are constant thoughts about work? This is
Hmm.
actually a question from Mike. So thank you, Mike, for
Grabe
asking
si
that
Mike, parang may
question.
pinagdadaanan
Oo
dun
nga
sa question
eh.
niya eh.
Well, Mike, I would say face it head on.
Mhm.
See, again, like the word you mentioned earlier, escape. I don't run away from work. I could be having dinner tonight with friends, and if the secretary calls because something came up in the office, I would just ask, "Excuse me, I just gotta take this.
Mm-mm.
Pick up."
Mm-mm.
It's, I guess, another way of managing your time and managing the business itself, which was my course, by the way. I don't think you guys asked me because what my course was in
Yeah,
De La
feel free
Salle.
to plug your
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
course.
business
yeah.
management. So my dad wanted me to either
Oh.
become an engineer or an attorney, but
Mm-mm.
I really just wanted to, uh,
Manage businesses.
yeah, just management. I
Yeah.
like the computation and the people's
Wow.
HR, back and forth stuff behind
Mm-mm.
it, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
Thank you.
that. I'm sure you shared a lot, no, about work-life balance, how
Yeah.
important it is, how you're able to manage your time no,
Mhm.
despite everything that you have. And, if anything, it goes to show, no, that it is possible.
Yeah.
That having both is possible with, proper
Mm-mm.
mindset, proper things in place and
Mm-mm.
all.
And I hope that's something no that we can really get into this. Get from this episode is that it's really possible as long as you're willing to do the work. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Brand Builder. If you find this very helpful, please share this podcast to your friends to invite them to the community. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating.
Also, if you're interested in hearing all these different topics, don't forget to follow us on Spotify at The Brand Builder. We're also on social media, Instagram and Facebook
Mm-hmm.
at 360digital.ph if you're interested in seeing more content and hearing more about these things about the digital world, work-life balance, and all the other things in between. So yeah, thank you so much. Again, this is Kyra.
And this is Steph.
And this is Kenan.
And this is the Brand Builder.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye.